to Iran. The opposition leader, Mir Hossein Mousavi, now calling for a major demonstration. According to a posting on his Facebook page, it's set to take place this Thursday or overnight Wednesday, East Coast time of the United States. And while we wait to see what the future holds, we want to take a quick look at the moments that have defined this historic trouble. Our chief correspondent, Jonathan Hunt, begins on Election Day.
The turnout is heavy. Long lines, polls forced to stay open an extra 3 to 4 hours so everyone can vote. Within hours of the polls closing, President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad and his main rival, Mir Hossein Mousavi, both claim victory. The Interior Ministry calls the election for Ahmadinejad, and Mousavi cries foul, alleging widespread voting irregularities. Observers point out election officials claim to have hand-counted millions of ballots in just hours. The official election results are released. The Interior Ministry says President Ahmadinejad wins in a landslide with 63% of the vote. That announcement triggers a fierce reaction. Furious Mousavi supporters flood the streets of the capital, Tehran, in the kind of anti-government protests not seen for 3 decades, not since the 1979 Islamic Revolution that brought Ayatollah Khomeini to power. His successor, the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, is tolerant of these protests at first, but urges the opposition to accept the election results. Ahmadinejad adds his voice, insisting the vote was free and healthy, and saying, quote, "People voted for my policies." A stunning reversal, the supreme leader now asking the powerful Guardian Council of clerics and judges to investigate accusations of vote rigging. On the streets, Ahmadinejad supporters attend a victory rally, while Mousavi supporters fight with security forces. And as night falls, thousands of protesters gather on rooftops in Tehran, shouting death to the dictator. Another echo of the 1979 revolution. A massive protest. Reports of up to 1 million Iranians hitting the streets in support of Mousavi. And the reformist leader appears in public for the first time since the election.
All of the people shout, "Where is my vote?"
Some protesters try to storm the compound of the pro-government Basij militia. Video shows gunmen firing on the crowd, and state media later says 7 people were killed during the day, the first reported deaths in this uprising. In Washington, President Obama expresses concern. With reports of unrest spreading outside the Capitol, the Guardian Council announces it will recount some votes. And witnesses report one pro-Mousavi rally stretches for a mile through Tehran. Fresh reports of arrests and beatings during ongoing protests on the streets. And with foreign media invited to leave the country, Twitter and other social networking websites become the voice of frustrated Iranians. Mousavi demonstrators dressed in black take to the street, mourning those killed in previous clashes. Ayatollah Khamenei leads Friday prayers, his change in tone obvious and severe, accusing the West of meddling, insisting the election was fair.
If the difference was 100,000 or 500,000 or 1 million, well, one may say fraud could have happened. But how can one rig 11 million votes?
Khamenei also threatening demonstrators.
I'm asking everyone to end this method. This is not a correct way. If they won't put an end to this method, they will be responsible for its aftermath and crisis.
And he warns a crackdown is coming. The crackdown arrives, the Basij militia out in force, and Iranian state TV reports at least 10 people killed in Tehran. One gunshot victim, a woman named Neda, becomes a symbol of the uprising as she dies on the street. Tehran is relatively quiet, but Mousavi says once again this election was a fraud. He vows to keep up the protests. He tells the people of Iran, the country belongs to you. In New York, Jonathan Hunt, Fox News.